Hello, and we're back for yet another series of the Eastern European TI Qualifiers. My name is Dan Offen, aka Mr. Big Jams, and I'm joined by Richie SeekNStrike Joker and Avo Plus for EXTREMUM versus Nemiga Gaming. We saw EXTREMUM on this stream yesterday, but Nemiga Gaming are new to us. So, Avo, why don't you talk me through this team? What can we expect to see from them?
First of all, they're Nemiga, not Nemiga, but Nemiga Gaming. Yeah, these guys, Belarusian, one of the few Belarusian orgs actually existing. Little thing. Most people, when they used to come to our Division 2 coverage, they thought they were very clever, and they would go, "Oh, is this Nigma? Oh no, this is budget Nigma." It's not. The name has nothing to do with this. Nemiga actually has to do with the river that passes through the city that is, or near the city that they are actually located in Belarusia. Big fans of Belarusia. Not big fans of what's happening right now, but they do like their country very much. They usually show a lot of national pride by trying to support a lot of the players in the region. And honestly, I give these guys good chances. Nemiga is a strong team of players that didn't really get too many chances beforehand. They've been kind of together for a really long time. And the only reason why Nemiga is looking a bit weaker into these qualifiers is because, unfortunately, the position 4, who's also been one of their oldest players, Hellscream, actually got drafted into the army recently. And they tried their best to try to prevent that, but it didn't work. And they had to now pick up a different stand-in called Heaven, which, I mean, I think one stand-in is not going to weaken a team too much, but it is one of your mainstay guys, one of the more vocal guys in the team. So hopefully Nemiga can bounce back up from that issue.
Great. Yeah, they're bouncing back. Go ahead, Rishi.
Yeah, I just wanted to build off of that because I think the change is a pretty significant one. Nemiga, they were one of the few teams that were still playing. Funny enough, Empire's like this as well with their position 4, but they're one of the few teams that still really prefers to play the very active position 4 playmaker, like your Earth Spirits, not so much the Tusks or anything like that, because of course that's beyond the wayside. But they like that style. That's what suited them very well, and that's what they played through the open qualifiers. This is an open qualifier team that got into season 2 just to get the chance to play here, and they kind of wowed me through the opens. They defeated Virtus Pro Prodigy. They defeated a couple other big names in there. They did really nicely throughout their second season run as well. But that's what my concern is. I will say I looked at Heaven's stats. He's relatively new to the scene in terms of his competitive experience, but the dude does have something like 800 games on the Dark Willow, so I'm expecting a really good performance out from Heaven this game.
We've already got some interesting picks of that Crystal Maiden picked up for the first time we've seen it. And it's also, I believe, our first Mars of the qualifiers so far, which is unusual. It's been banned out quite a lot, but I think it's the first time it's been picked. So
at least in this stream, I think you're right.
So Mars, Willow, Nakes, and Crystal Maiden. Talk to me about the Crystal Maiden. That's quite an unusual pick, Arvo.
Oh, they do love this on Nemiga. One thing they do like Playmaker 4s, but if not, the second thing Hellscream used to be playing is the Lina Willow, because just lane dominating 4s, right? And anything that can win him lanes, they try to go for. Enchantress, obviously one of the top picks, already got picked up by EXTREMUM. And this is something that actually a lot of teams were talking to me about when they saw the Enchantress being picked. At least when I was in the major, a couple of the teams were telling me, why did we not pick Crystal Maiden? Oh my goodness, we should have picked Crystal Maiden, because he was so out of meta and nobody really thought of it at the moment. And honestly, such a hard counter to Enchantress. You deal with a stupid creep. Creep can't get close to the Crystal Maiden. Witch Doctor is not as strong because 3 seconds is whatever. You don't actually kill the creep. Frostbite is enough to deal with it. You're a good lane dominator. You help the rest of your lanes. So even if your carry doesn't do well, you can make up for that with having a good mid lane and a good off lane. I like this. I think Nemiga is, I wouldn't say this off meta, but it's a different consideration of the meta, which I think is appropriate.
Do you agree, Richie?
I do, yeah. This is something that Lodin has run with as well. The only concern I have is we've seen this a couple of times play out. Not between Nemiga, I want to say. To me, it was really no techies. Solo had to play an Ench into a Maiden or into some other really hard counter, so he wasn't able to play around the creep. What this does motivate, though, on the Enchantress is for you to build like the ways we used to see Ench and Silencer back when your position 4 would like pick up a Dragon Lance and then become a core like 20 minutes into the game. So it does give you a lot more bonus damage in these fights, because obviously, as Avo said, you don't want to be bringing a creep into the lane, because the creep's just going to die. It's really mean. You feed gold to the Maiden, but you do get a lot more damage. So that is something to just consider. It does, however, neutralize a lot of this early game advantage that the that the Ench brings you.
Great. With EXTREMUM picking up their last pink lion, nothing too out of the ordinary. Nemiga are probably, unless they're doing something radical here, looking for a mid laner with that Pango already banned out and a
Yes.
Broodmother.
Yeah,
One of their
gotta get the
favorite
Pango.
picks. Yeah, much like Melis, this team is a Pango spamming team, but for the mid laner rather than for the
Yep.
offlane this time.
Yeah.
That's
I want to
interesting.
say, Avo, we have seen a few games of Aincrad mid lane on Mars. I think this time they're
Yeah.
going to want to just lane it with Heaven because he's, again, newer to the team. I think this is like a tried and true lane combination that Heaven's going to be really used to playing in pubs where, again, he's got a lot of experience and a very impressive win rate on the hero. I think as far as Heaven goes, he's pretty highly skilled. He's rank 347 as of this morning when I checked, so the dude's good at Dota.
I mean, that's a requirement for being a pro player. They're going to go for
It
the
is.
Magnus in the end. So I'm assuming it actually is going to be a Mars mid. And actually, I was going to say this because one of the things I do like about Mars mid in this matchup is if you are confident on the Mars mid, it's a pretty good matchup against Razor because you spear him every single time, break his link, and there's not much Razor can do about it except for trying to go for the 1 point unstable current and try to outrun your spear. But even then, like a good Mars is just adept at being able to break that link. So not a bad idea. With Magnus, you also buff up your Lifestealer. This draft is solid by Nemiga, and I do like Lifestealer a bit
solid
more than
draft.
Juggernaut.
Well, any words about the EXTREMUM draft before we go into the game?
They've got good burst. They have like a pretty good gank squad, and this is a big if, of course, because we have two heroes now that are really great at stopping a Razor from just running at your course with a static link. If we can get a link onto Cure Teach, the fight very quickly falls apart for Nemiga. We've got decent damage for sure, don't get me wrong, especially because you can buff up the bonk from Aincrad with the Empower, but at the end of the day, we're going to need Lifestealer to be doing this damage.
Yep.
Thank you, Dan. As
what a
we get
send-off,
a
huh?
good look at our picks. So yeah, good call on the mid lane Mars. It is at least when I looked up these stats, these are a little bit out of date, but his second most played hero in the mid lane behind the Pangolier for Aincrad. So this is a guy that is going to be very, very used to this matchup, of course, as you said, Avo. And that makes me a little bit scared. Razor is not a hero that really needs to win his lane like a Furion or like a Viper. But he can have a bit of a sluggish start if he's not immediately off his marks.
I do agree. I feel like Razor, though, is... So, as a big Razor fan myself, I know that's a rarity in this world, but I do think the hero is very fun to watch and to play against. I do think the hero has an insane power spike around minute 10 to 15, where no matter how well you do in your lanes, you're still going to be good because of the nature of the hero, right? Your level 10 talent is pretty solid. You have Static Link being one of the most OP abilities in the early game ever. Obviously, you pick... That is so scary. Obviously, you pick him to win the lane, and that's your goal on Razor. Yes, that goes without saying, but the lane going badly doesn't mean automatically that you're completely out, as long as you can play aggressively those early minutes. And that's why I like this gank squad they have. Like Razor, Enchantress, Timbersaw, Lion. It's a good gank squad to get some space for your Juggernaut. The only real issue I have with EXTREMUM's draft, I think it's a solid draft for the most part. The only issue is I just don't love the Juggernaut pickup. I think the hero is quite weak right now. I feel like when you're up against a Mars in general, right, not just in the lane, Jug is just a weaker version of Lifestealer. Lifestealer is looking a bit more powerful. And the way that Infest is used right now, not just as an Infest bomb, but rather as like as a save, right? It allows you to avoid that Omni Slash in much easier scenarios. Where you just go inside, say the Mars, for example. Mars has the Bulwark and just keeps walking forward, so Omni Slash barely hurts him, and you're both safe from the Omni Slash. If you go for Swift Slash, or obviously if this goes into the Hyper Late game, yes, Juggernaut wins, but I think for the most part, Lifestealer has a pretty decent matchup here. Razor is a problem, though.
Razor's a problem, and at the end of the day, despite having that Infest to play around with, which is a good key point to bring out, we'll make sure we highlight that as we see those come into play in the game, because it's going to be a certainty. We do, at the end of the day, have 3 strength melee cores versus a Timbersaw, right? I feel like Blizzy is got a pretty decent draft. His lane is difficult, right? But his mid game, at least, if he's able to find levels and a little bit of golds to potentially give him that Hooded Defiance, he should have a pretty decent time making some space for the Razor and for the Juggernaut to either farm or to be, in his footsteps, trying to follow up and pick up kills.
Yeah, I feel like if you can get a nice start on the Razor and you are able to use that gang squad effectively, you have not only a counter to the to the Mars, of course, and the Magnus to a degree, but also to the Lifestealer, and you're able to really, really get away with a solid dual core lineup. I think Jug is well suited to that as well, because you play kind of a dual core lineup until the late game, and then late game Jug just pops off, right, and Jug will win the game for you. And in the mid game, at least Razor is capable of matching Jug's timing. With Timberside, can even be a tri-core to a degree, with like 2 win conditions and 1 space creation, somewhat win condition if game goes really well for you. I like this. I think EXTREMUM could definitely pull this game off. I just find that the execution's a bit more difficult than Nemiga, who has really solid team fight, a good carry, decent lanes. I think I'm a believer in the Mars versus Razor matchup. Even Emilio Yule is really, really well known for his Razor.
Yeah, I think what's going to be fascinating is G, and of course, not to be confused with Young G, who is named after G here, who's used to be a mid lane player himself. What my concern is that I think you're giving him.
Is dead.
Yeah. You're giving him a match where he is going to want to build into damage. He is going to want to make sure that he's going to be able to fall back into these mid laner tendencies, perhaps, is what I'm saying. For good reason. And I think, to me, this enchant with the heroes that you have here, heroes that want to be on top of these slow strength melee cores, slow to even bore my enchants, might really help offset the difference that this Mars and Magnus have over the Razor.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point, actually. Having a second source of damage, tertiary source of damage to the supports can be super useful here. Lion brings a fair amount of damage to the table altogether as well, so being able to use that, you're able to actually hurt these tanky cores a fair amount. And Mars and Magnus are somewhere between tanky cores, right? Not the level of Centaur. They do tank up, but it's not the insanity, right? Mars maybe depending much more on the bulwark, but in the case of Magnus, definitely somewhere in between. Not Sanking, not Centaur, somewhere in between, which I think actually can definitely...
I'd say Mag offlane, because Mag mid is still pretty tanky, going for that Echo Saber and a couple of bracers. But offlane for sure. And speaking of this offlane Mag, we speak a lot about this, actually, you and I. You really like, and hold that thought, actually, we are fighting for runes down bottom. With the Lifestealer here, yeah, he's going to be able to bully Blizzy away. Not too interested in fighting versus the Nyx in these early levels. And that's only going to get worse for him, right? And that's because of this Magnus. I'm saying we because I agree with you in this, but we like to see the Shockwave into Skewer Mag, right? I'm going fishing Magnus, especially in the off lane. Do you think that's what we're going to see, or do you think the melee Lifestealer is going to kind of condition him to going for maxed in power and just following him around and increasing the farm?
No, I still hope we see that, to be honest. I feel like against a Juggernaut, if you don't go for the Shockwave Skewer Magnus, you're a bit screwed. Now, you're not going to be able to deal with the Enchanter's Enchant, which is only going to be used to dispel that Empower. Unless God really wants to go and deal with the Enchanter's Frostbite. Yeah, you'd rather just have the Shockwave Skewer so you can have a bit more utility. I don't feel like Lifestealer really needs that Empower super early to boost up his farm. He has good attack speed, decent talents to farm. You might even consider going for a Maelstrom because mixed damage is already good this game, so... It's not super needed to go for the Empower and rush it. Also, the reason why I don't like Empower Magnus, my biggest reasoning, honestly, is that at some point, you just give up on being a core. And you just have to follow your carry around like his little dog, and you go, whoa, Empower, ooh, Empower. And you're like, well, why, Magnus? You have so much more potential. And that's all you're doing the game. And I feel like then you only have 2 cores, really. And mind you, Mars can make up for it, and Magnus is still has a team fight, don't get me wrong. It's not really that. But I think it's... I'd much rather have a Magnus that's active on the map and go ganking and occasionally give Lifesteal and power, rather than a Mag that slaves away for Lifestealer's farm.
Would you say that naturally as the game progresses into the late game, Magnus does kind of fall into this position of 4 slot? Because like a lot like an Omni Knight, where no matter what lane you end him in, once the game hits 30 minutes, he's basically position 4, position 5, played for the save, played to tank these spells. Or do you think that this like Aghanim Shard with the right itemization around a Magnus can still turn him into this repositioning hero and a much more 3 than perhaps just playing around only the RP?
I'm a big believer. I think the Magnus has a lot of tools, especially with the Horn Toss. I like the Horn Toss a lot. I think he has a lot of abilities to be able to turn into a teamfight hero that's not just useful for the Empower. I mean, any hero that can reposition you is borderline OP in the right hands, right? Like, there's a reason why Tiny and Batrider and, I mean, those 2 heroes particularly never leave the meta, right? Hell, to a degree, Darkseer also, for the most part, stayed in the meta. They neutered his Iron Shell, and people were still trying to run him as a support, right? that's the power of these abilities. I think they're way too strong. Best counter to Aeon Disc possible, best counter to Aegis possible. Get rid of them by repositioning them and putting them in the wrong position. So I do think Skewer it's insanely powerful. There's a reason why that axe was broken a while ago.
Oh yeah, good times. Just going long distance fishing like from the Goofy movie. But that's a very niche reference and showing my Zoomer age. We shall see though how we're going to be playing this mag. For now, it is Shockwave at level 1 as Nefert looking for the spin damage onto the Maiden. Lodine able to TP away in time. TP into the tier 2 tower though. Where he's going to salve off and use that extra regen you get from tier 2s to return to lane as quickly as he can.
And right now, the bottom lane is... Timbersaw is not going to be too harassed by the Lifestealer, but by a similar situation, if Kurtage is not needed to go for the Rage, you're fine, right? You're just going to secure farm and Lifestealer. That's all your goal is against a Timbersaw. That's why this matchup is not considered a winning matchup for Lifestealer, because you never deny him completely a farm. I think the most important matchup, though, for both teams actually is the mid lane matchup. Whether Mars can start going and getting kills early, and whether Razor can have a good start, it's pretty much what determines who decides a tempo early. Since both lineups are fairly similar in that regard, I'd say. Okay, we'll see as well how much they want to push us on Nemiga. It seems like Lifestealer taking advantage of that Empower will decide to go for the Armlet build. We'll see if that also flexes into a potential Desolator, maybe the Assault Crash directly. We've seen some Lifestealers do. Pretty solid build against a Juggernaut though. For that core-to-core is really great, and the mixed damage is not going to do anything against them. So as long as Kirtich gets a good start, I think they're going to be quite confident in this. But Blizzy is the real threat for EXTREMUM early as well. That's something that even when Nemiga's good team fight, they might not be able to match. Especially, unless the Mars comes online. That's a good way to deal with the Timbersaw with his magical damage. That's always an option here for... That was always an option here for Nemiga, right? Just spin the Timbersaw to the wall. Then you get an early Vessel on Willow. Honestly, not a bad consideration. And just try to punish him as soon as possible. Force him to play around the Razor, who also needs to be farming somewhat.
Yeah, I do like this decision. Of course, Maiden is wanted to be lane versus the Ench, but I also think this works out doubly for Nemiga because you also want to have these Brambles for the harass, as you can see, trying to stop Chuvash from going from the pole unsuccessfully. Spin top, but that's going to force the Skewer away. But also having these Brambles to threaten Blizzy, the roots being a big problem for Timbersaw throughout the entire game until he gets himself a source of Dispel, does put his life at risk if he's out of position. Top lane, though, they're going to turn on to Nefert. In fact, this could and will be first blood. No points even in the Empower yet. Simply just going to be a pretty easy Frostbite into the Crystal Nova, punishing the Juggernaut for trying to use that Blade Fury level 2 aggressively on the kill.
Okay, so... Decent start for Nemiga right now, despite them not winning the lanes just yet. Which is, I mean, it's like Aincrad is suffering against Milieu, right? We said that you can deal with this matchup. I don't think you can win it though, despite that. And the Mag is also suffering a fair amount against the Juggernaut coming to this point. Good denies, particularly Chosen One.
No gold for you.
We'll see what build. I want to see what build he has actually gone for. Is he gonna go for the?
He's going for the Hooded Defiance right now.
No, but for the skill build particularly.
Ah, okay.
Also, the 1 point in the Empower. Yeah, because if you start losing your lane, the issue with going with Shockwave is that you are going to rely on getting kills, right? And while I like this build more, sometimes deviating into Empower fast enough might be better. You know?
They're going to go for a kill down bottom onto Chuvash here. Bramble Mace to set up here. There's going to be the Rage. Security is free to hit Chuvash, who has a stun in 1 second. Oh, not enough damage out from the Shadow Realm attacks, as Blizzy will be able to force back Kiritich, as well as Heaven on the Dark Willow. Good effort though, but healing salves all around are just going to reset things as we miss the Earth Spike, but still cancel the salve when it was basically already full HP here for the Lifestealer. So not much gained, not much lost. A couple of spells used, and that's about it.
Yeah, but still the cores on EXTREMUM are doing better, particularly the Razor is starting to pop off. I wonder when he's going to start to rotate first. I mean, the kill on bottom is kind of a freebie on the Lifestealer. Unless, even if he picks up him fast, I think you can still kill him if you have the Lion to lock him down afterwards. And like I mentioned earlier, the Razor is just so strong against this Lifestealer.
And we'll keen-eyed new viewers will take a look and see, gee, what are you doing here with 14 CS? Well, he's absolutely ruining these stacks. He's just cleared a stack himself with a level 2 enchanted creep. Lodine figured someone was missing but couldn't check it out soon enough. Arena, as there goes Aincred ganking down to the bottom lane for Blizzy, pinned to the walls, can't go anywhere. He's going to just wait it off, and 2 points in their active armor as well as the stick is going to be enough to keep him alive.
So I'll give this one to Aincred. I think.
Oh, he's going to live.
I'll give this play to Aincred because I think that was the right play. I mentioned this earlier. Mars' early kills on the Timbersaw are crucial to stop this hero from being relevant, and you have enough natural damage to be able to burst them. But Lifestealer not being present, concentrating instead on creeps, and maybe you just missing the last tidbit of damage, punished them, and it ended up being a missed rotation, which essentially is Blizzy creating space just by breathing. So, well, I think tactically that was the right play, and it didn't end up working too well for them, and now Melo Yule has been able to be slightly on top of Aincred in terms of farm.
And Aincred, with those stacks stolen by G, is not going to be able to recover as easily. Earthspike here is going to lock him down for the static link damage. The last impetus shot securing the kill here for the Enchantress. Melo Yule, though, in some trouble. Low HP, Curse Crown about to proc. But the Shadow Realm damage is not nearly enough. And with only the Maiden here as well, that is going to be a Razor safely away. Especially with 48 bonus damage. It's not really a fight either of these supports are wanting to take.
Yeah, and him maxing Plasma Field is very difficult for the supports to get near him, even the Dark Willow. Because you deal well with the Static Link, but you just don't deal well with the Razor and his area damage. It also gives him a lot of farming potential coming to this mid-game, which is good for you. It is the bad scenario for Nemiga. But now they're starting to punish God. Yeah, they have an arena. They really want to kill him. Stop stealing my stacks, G! G away. So they take a support kill. Not the biggest deal. But, you know, at least Arena is used when off cooldown.
Yep. We kept the ward here, though, so EXTREMUM are still going to know when we are going to stack and farm. But that's now 3 hard camps effectively stolen, really, from Aincred in this mid lane. Especially because I think it was him who was stacking with the 3-minute bounty rune. So at least it's only a bit of his own time wasted and not the supports who could have used that time for some other movements around the map. Regardless, though, going first into the armlet, I did want to actually point this out first. Nefrit is seemingly going for the Battle Fury to make sure that he can continue to scale, definitely recognizing that no matter what build the Chosen One is going to go for, eventually there will be a stage where he's going to give him power to the Lifestealer. There's the Skewer, and unfortunately Hooded Defiance not going to do much versus all that physical damage. We still have a spin, I believe, on the Juggernaut. He's going to go ahead and just tank the Cursed Crown, not too scared of it, and continue just farming the wave.
Okay, I like the Battlefield build actually. It might seem too greedy, but you already have the cores to bring you the space anyway on Razor and Timbersaw. And the Battlefield, as I said, matches the Lifestealer's farm, so he won't be able to get out of control, and also gives you a late game contingency plan, worst case scenario, if your Razor can't really keep up. I like this very much actually. In fact, all of EXTREMUM has kind of gone for farming builds because Razor's Plasma Field is also an indication of him wanting to farm to a degree, because it helps you clear stacks, take creep waves easily, right? He's not going to go for the Boots of Travel. I haven't seen him going for that. But it still is Raze that's interested in at least hitting a couple of creeps early.
Definitely. And on a very minor... Oh, hold that thought. Mid lane G. Okay, he's just going to tank another Arena. Be gone, they say, as they will be able to get a second kill on him. This time, the Arena kills, they come a lot easier onto the Enchantresses than they do onto the Timbersaws. Grid is finding anyway. And a couple of minor notes, just in case they come into play. The Cleave can damage the Willow if she's in the Shadow Realm, so that's always nice to have on top of the spin. Cleave, of course, is going to ignore Bulwark if you're hitting someone else next to him. So a couple of really nice things to have for Cleave that are not the reason he's building it. It is primarily because of the scaling, as you say, but it's just nice to haves.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a good point. But yeah, the scaling is a good idea in this game. I feel like a lot of players just completely forwent the Battle Fury as a build because they thought, oh, it's too slow for this meta, and you're not wrong about that. But at the same time, if the game presents itself for a good Battle Fury game like this one, why not? Go ahead. Meta is but an illusion.
It's true. It's true. Or it's got a 150-second cooldown on TP. But you're only scared of that with the illusions. Nice spear, but they've cut the Stompy creep here at the ready. Nice Shadow Realm, though. Lodine is going to be sniffed out in the trees and cut down by Blizzy. As it looks like the Centaur Conqueror is going to be the one to take the fall here. No, it's actually still alive. Melioul is still with the DD rune, only 5 damage stolen. Not too happy with that, but with the wagon here, as well as Blizzy to tank for the tower, for the creeps, it's going to be difficult for Nemiga to try and counter-initiate. Anchored in position, ready to go from the north, though. He will be scouted by the Centaur Conqueror, but he's got Arena ready to play. And that alone seems to be forcing away Nemiga. Sorry, EXTREMUM, pardon me.
Yeah, I mean, they dealt a fair amount of damage to the tower. No reason to overstay their welcome there. They're still creating good space for the Jug, who's taking advantage of the top lane still. Like, the fact that Nefert is farming this top lane as easily, completely unbothered, without having to go jungle whatsoever is a huge win as far as EXTREMUM is concerned. Because Blizzy has taken over this bottom lane as well. So, as Nemiga, you go, what do we do now? They need to make more plays with the Mars right now. And the play, it seems to be going for the tower. Unfortunately, their push is not too great. But they do have an Arena of Blood. I just think Blizzy might not be the target to use the Arena on.
Yeah, I think it's possible until he gets Hooded Defiance. Then it's a bit too difficult. Oh, we don't have level 6 on our supports, though. We have the book for Lodine. Now he's going to go ahead and read it. Probably taking in... I don't know. Maybe you don't take that point in the ultimate. We'll see here. It's not a bad idea, though, to force out either an Earthspike or a Hex, because the stuns are not really too much of a commodity here on EXTREMUM. It's Earthspike, it's Hex, and whatever creep that Ench can find, which is a bit of RNG. And speaking of this Earthspike and Hex, they have given Chuvash a bit of free farm down bottom while they were skirmishing for the mid-tier 1 tower. You know, Blizzy did eventually walk back down there and do a lot of the tower damage that allows G to take this tower, but giving some solo experience and a bit of farm to help get Chuvash towards that Blink Dagger is going to go a long way here.
God, could be in trouble. There's the spear. All right, hit him to a tree with the freezing field. They really, really hate G. Everything used for him. But in the bottom lane, wait, EXTREMUM is setting up for a potential counter kill here. As Chuvashu plus Melioul. They join again, they know there's no arena, so Lodine, they know there's an arena. My bad. But no freezing field. So they can easily take the kill on Crystal Maiden and let the Mars go away. No way you're going to get a kill on Razor with just a simple arena plus spear.
I think quite literally everyone is gearing up to play the late game. I think in most scenarios we see Lions don't necessarily use Finger for the Maiden if they know there's a Mars nearby, because they're going to save it and you know, try and dissuade the Mars from continuing to fight, right? Mid lane, I hear a Bedlam as they are going on to Blizzy, pulling back into the first RP here at some good damage. 24 stacks of the reactive armor, and the hood is not enough to keep Blizzy alive. He will be taken down. It takes 4 heroes, Avo, but they have slain the Timbersaw.
Yeah, good. Actually, pretty major kill, as that allows him to go for the middle tower. Nefert is coming in as well, seeing if he can at least defend this, and apparently Nefert's enough to deter the push completely, huh? Nefert very scary. That's the value of keeping the Omni Slash. Yeah, but it's the Omni Slash there. You know that he can survive for so long, and Razor will come in time to help him, and the Omni Slash is still a threat, of course, at any point in the game. In fact, they're going to be the ones pushing. Nemiga, out of resources, it seems. No arena, no RP, so the tower's just going to fall. They don't want to fight this.
And actually, the Chosen One, they know where he's at. Chuvash still pretty far from the Blink Dagger, unfortunately. Can't really do much about him. He's calling for reinforcements. They have vision of him thanks to the ward they have underneath their own outpost, as G is looking to head him off. Their next closest reinforcement, though, is still a bit far away. Skewer, though, is the Chosen One unable to get into the river. That just might condemn him, as Melioul is instead going to go ahead and keep farming. He's a bit too far away.
Melioul didn't quite make it. I think he had gone and cut through the river. He might have been able to force a fight, but then you also... I'm assuming they were hoping for TPs, or they were waiting for TPs, right?
Yeah, that's the scary part. Exactly. They know there's no chance for an RP, but Arena, relatively short cooldown, could potentially turn a fight into, you know, the freezing field. It's too scary. You look to force him out, you look to try and keep him out, but you don't go dive into your 1 towers versus a Mars plus Willow combo. That is a no-go.
Yep, exactly. I agree with that. And of course, another issue here is that the Lifestealer having the armlet means that he can fight a bit more reliably than the Juggernaut. He can actually join into these fights if he feels like there's a need, like for example at TP there. And he's even going for the fastest build possible. All fighting items. You know, the Sanj, really great for team fights early, not great for farming, doesn't really matter for Lifestealer, also great for keeping him alive. And you go for the full glass cannon build as he goes for the Armlet Desolator. A build we don't see as often these days, but still strong.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, Sanj is just still so damn strong. Slightly nerfed, of course, but the status resist is I think, the biggest reason why Kiritich wants to build it, just so he can tank through a Hex and an Earth Spike if necessary, live, cast the Rage, hop into a friend, you know, etc., etc. It's all about the status resist here, minimizing the already minimal stuns that we have here on EXTREMUM to make sure he can cast Rage and continue fighting.
Yep, very true. Smoke here by Nemiga. Trying to take advantage of the arena and the RP, both up. There's the gank squad I was expecting, maybe a bit later than I was expecting, but still successful if they can at least find an important kill here.
Double blink
going
timing
for the
here,
jug down
Avo.
bottom.
It could be
going
huge.
for the jug down bottom. There we go, Defrin. RP, no chance for him to spin to win. They even use a freezing field. Doesn't matter if the spear got him away from it, because they have the damage to kill him regardless. Multiple resources for that, but worth it.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so, especially if Kiritich can push this tower basically by himself. Of course, the rest of Nemiga coming in to reinforce him. Ultimately unnecessary, as he will just rage, slap the tower one last time, and down it goes. We equalize now the pressure in the mid lane, which does open up both jungles. Looks like, yeah, EXTREMUM, they have in fact smoked up. Chuvash has a Blink Dagger now being delivered. There's a BKB on Razor. He's not gone for the traditional Yule Scepter, instead realizing that it's not going to be the most effective here versus a Spear, versus a Skewer, versus a Rage, and instead just looking to put himself in the middle of these fights without risk of dying. Pings are coming out. EXTREMUM, they know that there are enemies nearby, but they're unwilling to make the jump without vision. Second smoke. They're going for this one. They're going hard on this one, Avo.
Yes, they are. The smoke. Let's see EXTREMUM. I mean, they're playing on the BKB timing, right? On the Razor. And as opposed to Yule Scepter, this gives you so much more versatility, at least in the first few flights. You're essentially unkillable.
Okay,
Kill is good.
They got vision on
this bigger.
Anchored. This is
Nice
a big
Hex.
kill. It's a mid lane Mars, of course. Nefert coming in. Might just throw the Omni Slash here. Might not need to. Out comes the arena. The spin, ooh, is not going to collect the kill, but it's the Finger of Death to do the damage. Thanks to the Jug giving him the vision. And EXTREMUM may actually be able to convert this into a tier 2 down bottom for free.
That would be pretty huge. That opens up your map completely, take over the enemy jungle, waste all the defensive wards they put there for Nemiga. And if the Lifestealer is reduced to the triangle, the Empower no longer feels as great, of course. You can still go into the lanes and push him out because he has the Rage DP to get away, so that's always an option. But, of course, you want to use all the jungle camps and your great movement speed to be able to take complete advantage of this Magnus.
It's a Blink and BKB reveal. Of course, BKB not going to do much versus the RP. Hex, though, is going to do a lot to the Maiden. Turning her into a fish. And chopped up here by the Chakram. Does get the ulti off. Decent damage to Mellow Yule, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to live through all the damage that he possesses, especially with Eye of the Storm active.
Yeah, Mellow Yule, oh, the RP. Now he's going to get it for sure. BKB used, though, so he can't be skewered away. And in fact, that RP is going to be wasted. Chosen One just dying for nothing there. Even using up the RP. They want to go for Kiritich, but that seems like an impossible kill. However, EXTREMUM is happy to just stave off the aggression from Nemiga and continue to gain more farm on their cores. May even take an objective along the way.
Ooh.
Taking Roshan away from Radiant is massive here.
Yeah, they don't have Freezing Field. Arena will be up soon, but without the RP, I don't think you're necessarily too scared of that. And I just want to underline something you said there was, of course, BKB is not going to save you from RP, but it will save you from being skewered, obviously, right? But that's huge for them. Mellow Yule, they were expecting him to be out of position. Even if he BKBs after the skewer, he's likely still dead, but the fact that he's just able to stand his ground through the BKB and the RP duration, it means he's just completely good to go. Very, very justified use, even of the first BKB, and he'll be happy with that, especially now as Jug is going to be able to claim the first Aegis of the game. 19 minutes in, plenty of physical damage to make sure that they can tear through that Roshan rather quickly.
With Roshan now, I think EXTREMUM, they could choose to put pressure here and take one more outer tower, perhaps the top lane outer tower, and dominate the triangle. Or alternatively, you could choose to just play super defensively and say, all right, come at us, Nemiga. Watch. We have a Battle Fury and Jug, so our space is well done. You know, we have more space than you right now on the map anyway, so we can play even, you know, slightly on the vulnerable side. And EXTREMUM, sorry, and Nemiga, with the ultimates they have good, solid team fight. I mean, not enough sustained damage to bring down a Jug voice.
Yeah, that's a bit of an issue for now for these guys, especially because Lifestealer, he doesn't really have a target this game. He can just like continue to slap and sustain off of. He kind of would like to probably build a little bit more into the burst, which I think explains the Basher here. as there goes the tier 1 tower taken. Because normally Lifestealer, he's the king of long fights, you know, in the right draft, along with like your gyros, your embers. But unlike these guys, he does depend on being able to lifesteal, and because it's percentage based and you're playing versus no strength cores or no strength heroes at all, actually, it does make life a bit difficult for him.
Timbersaw's strength.
Oh yeah, of course, thank you.
I know, of course, because of his lines, you constantly think he's intelligence because the guy is clearly a scholar, but you know he does happen to be a strength hero because of his metal suit of armor. But Lifestealer's not going to choose to hit him for sure, or it's not the best target because you don't want to fight the mano a mano against the Timbersaw. You're trying to do that against the Juggernaut because also it sucks against the Razor. That's why it's tough for Lifestealer to play. Mellow Yule initiating. Oh, nice Yules. Wait, no, that's right. That was the offensive Yules. Never mind.
It was.
Mellow Yule just
from
got
heaven.
saved. Oh no, that miscommunication is going to cost him Lodine's life, but a loss of the RP. That was so perfect. I thought it was Mellow Yule's Yule Scepter. I was so convinced.
I thought it was too, but of course he went for the BKB first, right? So he doesn't even have enough for the Yule Scepter yet, even if he wanted to buy it immediately after. Ooh, that was a bit rough there for sure, as they double committed onto him, and of course the BKB as soon as he lands means that that team fight is a no-go basically from there. EXTREMUM. I mean, even if I think they land the RP, there's so much backup coming. I still think that's not a fight Nemiga wants to be taking. It's difficult now. Chosen One, though, immediately into the Horn Toss, so he is going for the build we were talking about a bit. They're going to try and chase him through the trees. I wonder where he went. Maybe follow the trail of broken trees here. Oh, okay, they're going to get juked here, actually, as they're going to be unable to find him.
That's the classic where, like, you're trying to run away from, like, you know, murder, and you open the window and you go through the door. That's pretty much what they thought he did there, but he did nothing so complex. He just kept running forward.
Gotta open the window. That's what our horror movie protagonist got to do. Just open the window, Forehead. You'll be good to go.
Have you never seen that? It's like a very common scene. You try to distract the guy in your house, and so you open the window thinking you've gone through there, and then instead you go through the door because it's the simplest escape route. You need to watch more horror movies. It's like
I guess I do. I guess I do.
It's a technique. They teach policemen this, okay, when they're running away from dangerous situations. So
open
windows
climb
everywhere.
Window.
If he doesn't get confused, the draft will surely kill him. So you know it's his best solution.
He'll die. He'll die of a cold.
6 months.
Okay, DD Rune, scouted by Blizzy.
He has Blade Fury. Oh, doesn't care about the Cursed Crown. He really doesn't. He ignores it. In fact, he's going to go forward. Try to kill Magnus, ignores Terrorize. That's what the Blade Fury was for. Well played. They do kill Chuvashu in exchange, but Chosen One a bit more valuable than a simple Lion. Plaza Field will not slow down anyone, as it barely misses. EXTREMUM still chasing forward. Timbersaw with DD, not that scary, but EXTREMUM feeling pretty powerful since they gotten rid of a part of the team fight. No need to overextend themselves, though, as the Mars Arena is still available.
Yeah, we did kill the Courier of Neferet. That had actually one of the 2 ultimate orbs, so it's not going to be a full item completed. Okay, Kiritich and Neferet just casually exchanging blows. There's the bash, and they didn't get rid of that healing ward first, though, if you want to exchange in fisticuffs versus a Juggernaut. Now, Jewel, back down to the low ground he will go. Kiritich quite fast, though. You got to close the gap. The Rage, but of course the Heaven's Halberd applied first and cannot be dispelled even by the Rage of Kiritich. He is going to go back to farming these Ancients. One thing I just wanted to quickly note is we're pretty darn mobile here on EXTREMUM. Like, just move speed alone, right? Like, Neferet with Phase Boots active, I think, is moving close to 500 move speed. Yeah, 506 exactly. Razor 401, and he's not even maxed the passive yet. Hold that thought, though. Will they be fast enough to dodge the smoke ank out from Nemiga? Einkered, he's got the Lifestealer inside of him. There's going to be the jump. They found the Juggernaut here. All that move speed not going to get him out of dodge here, especially thanks to that bash from Kiritich, able to secure the kill onto the Juggernaut.
Maybe Omnislash was the play there, try to get away immediately, right? But I think you were dead either way. The team was too far away, they couldn't help you. And Chosen One still has the RP. First the Horn Toss, Skewers to nowhere. Oh, no, Skewers to RP the Razor. Still Einkered is already dead. And Chosen One, underestimating the power here of Mellow Yule. They have to deal with the Timbersaw first. Mellow Yule trying to save his teammate, but unsuccessfully so. Gets bashed first hit by Kiritich, and Kiritich still wants his life. With a bit of damage stolen, though, it's going to be a bit more difficult, so Nemiga will desist. However, taking down 2 cores, already a win for them, even if they did lose Einkered in the process.
Yeah, really, really nice play by our two supports from Nemiga. That time the spell usage was on point. I like the effort of the RP to try and save the mid lane Mars, because of course he is going to be a lot of your burst damage, almost at the BKB, which would have allowed Ankrit to live there. But the fact that you still get the Timber, you kick that whole thing off for the kill onto the Juggernaut. You lose your mid laner at the end of the day, but you do get a fortuitous kill onto the enemy offlaner. So I'd say you're still fairly happy with this on Nemiga. Does allow you to get into the enemy jungle, set up some vision, prepare to fight for next Roshan, which I think is going to be the next turning point. And quite a big one, of course. The second Roshan, as everyone will know, is quite the turning point here for a lot of teams and a lot of games.
Yeah, it's a bit too OP, not gonna lie. It needs to get nerfed to a degree. Getting the shard cheats and ages from it is just insane. That shard is really, really value. Nemiga actually can utilize it well. I think the open wound shard pretty big this game.
Definitely. No, actually, it's a really good point, because it's going to be super, super annoying versus these fast heroes, right? I highlighted earlier on how going for, enchanting these cores with your team as mobile, is going to be really strong, helping them close the gap. Popping BKB just for a move speed slow never feels amazing, because it sets you up for Lion, But
what I was actually thinking, more so than that, not gonna lie, is that right now, Timbersaw is not the easiest kill, but definitely killable. You pop the open wounds, all of a sudden, even your supports are hitting him for 2.5% of his max HP every hit, right? That is insane. The open wounds got buffed, the one that gets from the shard. In addition to giving healing to the lifestealer, it makes it so that Timbersaw doesn't seem so tanky after all, especially when he's down to low HP and he's barely making it alive. He just broke the smoke there, so Blizzy should realize.
I think they know.
It wasn't in the outpost though. They're gonna let Blizzy take the outpost first, out of respect. And now, now they kill him. They have the arena. Ankrit just waiting for it. There he goes. BKB. Not using the arena just yet. Finally, RP puts them back inside the arena. Blade Fury still going, but soon gonna be expiring. Nefrit losing his life in the process. Kiritich though will die together. Both carries are dead, and Meliul is now taking the mantle for his team, and he's the true carry of EXTREMUM, going and murdering 3, taking down now Lodine. Look at Meliul go. It seems like Nemiga might have to change their priorities and somehow deal with this annoying Razor who went for an SNY and is hurting them quite hard.
Yeah, let me just double check here that the death summaries. Yeah, okay, so basically what happens there, that was one whirling death, but remember during our draft I was talking about, step 1, or the team fight for Nemiga is really darn good, but they can't let one thing happen, and that one thing happened this time. Meliul got the static link off, full duration during the RP, and of course, because of the way it works, you still attack, even if you're stunned or disarmed, and he got so much free damage in onto our lifestealer, who was just trapped, couldn't do anything, jumped right in there, but unfortunately didn't rage in time before the static link could come out.
And then when that happened, it feels like, the team fight was already a bit delayed, but it's just so difficult to get the arena now when the BKBs are strong, right? So it doesn't feel like Ankrit is as powerful anymore. He's going for the Arcane Blink, which... Okay. It throws the spear faster, and the arena. It still takes a second or a bit to construct, but it's gonna throw it faster. I'm not sure why the Arcane Blink though, not gonna lie. Because the BKBs are gonna cancel you completely. Maybe the surprise factor is important there.
I'm also not really sure either, if I'm being honest with you. It'll reduce our God's Rebuke cooldown to 4 seconds, so you'll be able to get a lot of burst damage in.
If you use it during the Arcane Blink, right?
What's the alternative? He's got BKB. What are we thinking? Maybe a Force Staff? It just feels a little weird on a mid laner. Like a Shiva's, a Halberd. Yeah, I can see that.
Because you need to deal with a Razor. Heaven's Halberd allows you to ignore him for 5 seconds. It doesn't go through BKB, but it doesn't really matter. The BKB doesn't matter there. Yes, and why will reduce it to 4 seconds? Still a fair amount, right? I honestly think here Halberd this game, but we'll see.
They are going to smoke up here for EXTREMUM, as Roshan has just respawned, showing off that brand new Aghanim shard he's holding. We'll see how long he continues to hold that once all the TI qualifiers end. Smoke breaks. It's just G's, though. They think they're on the high ground, but the rest of Nemiga actually in the river. They're going to smoke up themselves, but right underneath a ward from EXTREMUM. Of course, not knowing exactly which direction they'll be heading is going to spook Nemiga, make that EXTREMUM onto the high ground. Had my teams flip-flopped there as they flip-flop high grounds. Outpost captured by Nemiga. I don't even know if the teams know that Roshan's alive. I don't think either team scouted it, but of course, just putting yourself in position, knowing that the window is now, is going to be the important part here for both sides. Grid, he's going to pocket this DD rune into the bottle, so we have that now to potentially play with.
Yeah, a bit of extra damage for the Mars. I really want to see this Arcane Blink in action.
Whoa,
Nope.
Heritage.
I can't imagine he's gonna die here, right? He has the Rage. Oh, Omniscience, they're coming into this. There comes the Magnus. There's the Infest we talked about earlier. They might just kill the Chosen One as well with the RP. Chosen One wants to make sure Kirtan stays alive, and they'll succeed for now. Miss Spear, but hit the Terrorize. It's gonna be enough. I don't know what the Earthspike was aiming at. But Finger of Death out of Rage. Chuvashu's done with this game. They kill the Courier. Lodin must die as well. Do they have anyone to cancel TP? They do not. So Lodin will survive. And oh, look, a Roshan. What?
Yeah, that was very ambitious. That was a really ambitious push from Kiritich. I think he's like, we don't know where they are. What's one way we can force them back? Let's push mid all the way up. Okay, Chuvash in some trouble. Actually, as there's a BKB active for Minecraft, they force him off the walls, but the DD rune is going to be a bit too damaged, assisted here by Heaven. There's a buyback. Roshan a 3rd HP, so it's at this critical point where EXTREMUM either need to commit and finish the Roshan or back off and look for the fight. Everyone's back alive for Nemiga. There's no arena, there's no RP. Kiritich, again, continuing to just idle around. There they go, into the pit. Lodin's even in here with the freezing field now, looking for the damage as Melojul trying to finish off Roshan. Aegis is going to be picked up by Einkert, though, at the end of the day. The stun finds Kiritich as Nefert in a bit of a bad position now. Without Aegis, gets the 4-step from his allies out of the pit. The spear will find him, but not enough damage with the Shadow Realm projectile. He is away safely, as is the rest of EXTREMUM. The Maiden buying back there to try and make the difference, perhaps allowing them to catch Blizzy, who does not have a TP scroll, so it seems like his fate could be secured. Oh, G as well, actually, is not going to be too lucky, as eventually they'll get the kill onto him.
All right. That ended up being okay. That was a fight here.
That was a fight. Chaotic.
That was a fight.
Nemiga get the kill onto Roche as well as the Aegis.
The Aegis
Technically
and
not.
So
Yeah.
I'd say that's a win for them just because of that factor, right? Now they can start and put some pressure onto the towers, regardless of the amount of resources they have to expend for that, particularly the buybacks. I still think
they got everything out from that. They got the X shard as well. Kiritich, yeah, he's got open.
Was it Kiritich? Okay, fantastic. Big turning point. I don't think the Axe Shard on... I mean, they had the Razor Axe Shard, which is also really good. Or the Flamethrower. Both really valuable this game. We'll see. Even the Juggernaut actually could use the Axe Shard well. Yeah, Nemiga really got away with a lot there. And with the Desolator, Kiritich actually pushes quite fast. He activates the Rage because he knows the Hex is coming. It's pretty smart of him. There's no point in staying there too long and the Lion surprising you. Chu still wanting to go forward, but acknowledging perhaps that's a suicidal move.
Yeah, this line's a bit of a problem now. He's got Aether Lens as well as actually the Psychic Headband. So his cast ranges are going to be very, very generous, as they actually will smoke out of the base, looking for a fight into this Aegis, into the cheese. Of course, Aegis here on the Mars, perhaps not the ideal carry for the Aegis. I think they wanted that on the Lifestealer, but in the midst of battle, you do what you can just to make sure you're the team that grabs it. Here's this Arcane Blink with an additional Quickening Charm, so some pretty short cooldowns now on all these abilities.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's for the just constant arenas, right? If you get 2 arenas off in a fight, there might be a lot of value to that. The first arena is just to pay out BKB. Second arena being able to actually do something, right? There's the use there. When you take it to level 25 town, that gives you the regen. That might be a useful utility Mars here.
That's an interesting idea. Slasher's Way Mars, build Holy Locket, and steal all the books to get to level 25, and just arena in the middle of fights. Oh, Melojul, he's in.
Please don't Holy Locket. Please don't Holy Locket Mars. I think the talent is good. There we go. See, first arena is whatever. You Arcane Blink for it, so it's okay.
Look at the cooldown.
And now it goes back
seconds.
in 40 seconds. Yeah, it's whatever. You know, that's why the Quickening Charm's for. That's value, Richie. You're just not seeing it.
And they're out. I mean, hey, it secured them the lane of barracks.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm telling you, you're underestimating this. Arena, 40-second cooldowns, whatever. There's some spells Darkseer has with longer cooldown than that. It's back. You're fine.
Don't remind me.
That's not actually true. It's not that long cooldown anymore.
No, I think it's 35 seconds max. It's long, but like yeah. I mean, it's still for an ultimate that's a larger AOE than Vacuum, even with the talents. You know, sure, you don't get you don't get that Hoover action, but you do have, of course, the Terrorize to follow up with you. I see the value there. I see the value.
Tombstone is a longer cooldown. You know, look at it that way. Right?
Techie's Minefield sign has got a longer cooldown as well.
There you go.
balance?
Black Hole has a longer cooldown. I mean, is it fair? This arena
it
clearly
fair?
too strong.
We also have the Shard for the Willow. Really, really annoying for these carries that have like one ability that gives them, you know, the get out of jail free card. It would suck to just. I mean, Nefert, he's been tanking all of these Brambles before, sorry, the Cursed Crowns before, but now they spawn Brambles, and then, of course, eventually when we get these talents, you know, for the Bramble CDs at level 20, which is not coming very soon, being only 15 on the Willow, that's a lot of casual control, a lot of very cheap stuns and roots that this Jug is going to absolutely hate playing into, especially because he's not going for BKB.
Yep. Yeah. He should be going for the same cooldown reduction build that Mars is going for more Blade Furies, but, you know, not everyone can think that forehead.
Not everyone can be that 5 out. Here's Aincrad. Here he goes. Oh, no, the Hex first, though, Blizzy. Plenty of damage. Yeah, that Chakram is just going to nuke him down, and there's now going to be plenty of damage coming through. The RP is going to find 2 heroes out from EXTREMUM. And they actually have at least stunned up Melojul with the bash very quickly, wasting a bit of his BKB duration. That's now ended. There's the arena. They've caught Melojul. We need a bit more damage, and we have it. Open Wounds keeping him against the walls, and Aincrad getting the kill credit there. The Chosen One, though, is going to be popped by the Finger of Death all the way from the high ground from Chuvash. The gem on the deck here, but Blizzy taking a lot of damage out from Kiritich. Another Open Wounds in a couple more seconds. Chi's still ready to go. Heaven, though, is going to die as Blizzy still alive on the high ground. Aincrad, in the meantime, being held down by the mana drain of the Lion as they force staff him this way, that way, and unfortunately he is going, well, back to the fountain, taking the short trip, dead for 70 seconds. They only get the Razor out from that one, unfortunately. All those cooldowns shortened, but for what if you have no mana to use the abilities?
Okay. Legitimate, though, right? I think that was the arena kind of worked out in the beginning. The only problem is that afterwards you don't really know what to do once you've used your team fight ultimates. But I think the logic behind it is starting to make sense to me. Kiritich can be guided now, and we are getting to the point, though, I feel, where Juggernaut starts outscaling the Lifestealer just naturally, and the Razor is still a problem. But if you get the Razor first in the fight like here, that's ideal, unless Chuvashu just wants to die.
Yep.
So yeah,
I mean,
if you get
there,
the Razor, yeah, just murder Razor first and take his life. That way Lifestealer has a pretty free time hitting anything, and you lose your secondary carry. But of course, if you do that, Juggernaut's a bit more free, as we saw in that team fight, so you can't completely underestimate him either.
Yeah, that's what the issue seems. They're going to go for G as well. This is going to be a bit of a challenge, but here's now Dark Willow closing the gap, setting up for the Brambles into the Bedlam. I think now they've got plenty, and she's going absolutely nowhere. In fact, they horn toss her into some more Brambles, skewer her through a couple of more Brambles, still alive, but finally fed to Kiritich, who will gladly have some venison. Real quick, Avo, the thing is, right, like, what do you do? Oh, okay, Arena top lane, even with the Arcane Blink, though, Spear has too long of a cooldown. What do you do if you have to use RP and Arena and Open Wounds and a Freezing Field just to take care of Razor? Like, what do you do then to stop the Jug? Second Arena?
Yeah, there we go. I mean, I think, well, if you do that, then you don't have RP any longer. I think you just cast the curse them by asking that question. No,
it was a good RP. It was a good effort, is what I meant to say. Because, I mean, both supports down, you know, might as well try, but long cooldown, unfortunately.
I feel like the Razor could have gone down with less than that, and you committed a fair amount, and with the right position, you can get catch to him a bit easier than having to use all those resources against him. I feel like maybe it's just the right timings of arenas. I think more than the RP being used against them, it's more the right timings of arenas. I mean, you can always do the wombo combo of arena, RP them into the arena, even if they have BKB, whatever, you waste it with the RP. Then eventually you stop them with the double spear because you have the shard now and Aincrad. There's a lot of wombo combos that you can pull off, but if you're going to go target by target, just deal with him with arena. Force out the BKBs and murder him with arena, and then afterwards, EXTREMUM can... And afterwards, sorry, you can just man fight the Jug easily and win the mano a mano.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think it's impossible for them.
That's going to be a bit more difficult for our Juggernaut, given that he has just, or that's going to be a bit more difficult for the Lifestealer, sorry, as he has just finished off that Butterfly on the Juggernaut. So we're going to need something, MKB, some sort of true strike here, because we have sold off. I don't think, did we go for a Maelstrom on Kiritich this game? I don't think he did, right? He just relied on the Empower to boost his farm.
Yep. It's been just the Empower this whole game. Yep. He went for the fighting Lifestealer, which has helped him be as impactful as now. I mean, we thought this was the case, right? The only option for Maelstrom is if you want to deal with Timbersaw, but I still think it's the better build. I only put it out there because yes, you can do it, but I also think this is the optimal way to play. I even like the Desolator, considering that you have the Empower to boost you up, because you can now get the mid-game power spike nicely with the Desolator, and later on you can always sell it for an MKB and still be useful there.
This build is starting to get a little bit awkward, though, as we can see. The Sanj currently in the backpack because of this Lincoln Sphere that Kiritich has decided is the play. I like that better than Aeon Disc, especially versus a Lion, but we do have a couple of ways to break that from long range. Not through BKB, crucially. So that potentially is the issue. Oh, a Static Link, I suppose, is the only way to break that through, and I guess Omni Slash, but those are abilities you don't want to be using specifically to break a Lincoln Sphere, right? I guess that's the point.
No, Omni is fine, though, because you only break the first jump.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So
That'd be insane if you just stopped it. But of course, with Lotus, that's something you don't want to be Omni Slashing.
Exactly. So that's part of the key here. This is a good positioning by EXTREMUM. They're coming in from the high ground. They find Lodine first, and they kill Lodine in time. I mean, with the freezing fields, you can give more space to our team. It's actually not that bad. In fact, we saw Timbersaw going in against 4, and Blizzy is in trouble now. However, not enough damage just yet. The RP got cancelled by the Hex. In comes Never with the Omni Slash. They want to kill off Chosen One before he gets the RP off, and they'll succeed. But a double spear will not put him against a tree. They need more damage, though. It seems like EXTREMUM can't be killed just yet. Kiritich under the Static Link. He can't even hit Blizzy. Terra has to reset the fight, but Melojul avoids it. Kiritich has to retreat as Blizzy is somehow still alive. He'll leave Lodine behind. This might be a dieback. Lodine having to sacrifice herself for this retreat, and it seems like EXTREMUM won't even go for the high gun, so they're not even going to force the dieback there. No sacrifice.
They don't want to. They don't want to. They know Mag just bought back. They know he didn't get off the RP. They don't have no vision on their own triangle. This is not the way to continue. You've got already a pretty nice big win there. A buyback onto the offlane Magnus. You only had a buyback on your Lion, and you know, it's a nice resetting point there for you. You clearly came out better out of that fight. There's no need to risk it there. I think that's a wise choice, especially because they did see him TP immediately to the outpost, so they knew he was on the way. They were not eager to find themselves RP'd onto the high ground. Good fight for EXTREMUM. Really, really nice jump. Great position, as you highlighted. A nice smoke play. The rest of Nemiga were trying to set a trap there in the lane, trying to get them to jump onto the Magnus, and it almost worked. It almost worked. We'll see here if this smoke attempt is going to be more successful, as third Roshan has respawned, carrying this Refresher Shard.
Minecraft, they're not going to burst out Blizzy this time. Will they succeed? Lotus Orb seems fine. Oh, the RP! Caught him! And Blizzy's down for the count now with the arena. They use the BKBs, though that's just the first arena of the fight. Aincrad at least got them to use their magic immunity. The spear still hurting Nefrit ever so slightly, but Nefrit can no longer, Kiritich can no longer beat Nefrit, even on the 1v1. Terrorize yet again to allow them to retreat, but this will still mean Aincrad dies. And the poor Willow will be able to TP back home. However, EXTREMUM are now holding their own. No longer can Lifestealer beat the Jug.
This is it.
This is the wall they're facing now, and not an arena wall like Nemiga would like. They don't have arena yet available either, but EXTREMUM not gonna give him a free Rosh either.
No, there's no way they can do that. We've sold the Sanj, by the way, picking up the MKB on Lifestealer, so we've checked off the True Strike versus now the Butterfly being a rather big issue. G is starting to really pump in damage in these fights. He's picked up the Enchanted Quiver and a Solar Crest. Impetus as well is doing a lot of work. It's starting to get rather difficult. Third Rosh now started up. We have at least Infest and the two support ultimates. There's Arena of Blood ready to go as well, so Aincrad might be just forced into action. The last time we took a Rosh fight here, it went in favor of Nemiga. They know that it's being done. There's the Brambles for some vision. They actually already get rid of the Lincoln Sphere, though. They just have to go in. Aincrad throwing the spear is not going to connect onto anyone in time, and Melojul still holding on to the Static Link. Will not find it onto one, but it's Nefrit who snatches up the Aegis, and there goes Kiritich. He's dead for 100 seconds. He's got buyback, but the Omni Slash made very quick work of him. They're going to be able to find Heaven as well and send him back to hell and back, really, as Chuvash there, at least stuck in the Brambles, is not going to be able to do much, but that's 3 dead for Nemiga as the second Roche fight does not go their way.
I think it's gotten to the point that's a bit too late, honestly, for Nemiga. They can't deal with the Razor still this whole game. Melojul has been a huge pain for them, but more importantly, Nefrit now beats Kiritich. And at any point, I mean, the Omni Slash is greater than Infest. You no longer can survive the Omni Slash damage by infesting one of your teammates, because you just slice through both of them, honestly. The Juggernaut alone is better in the mano-a-mano than the Lifestealer. What do you do if you're Nemiga now? You don't have a strong enough carry. So you have to use your team fight to your advantage. It has to be a godlike RP to be able to bring this back home. With the Aegis, this makes it much more difficult.
Well, there goes Kiritich, finding the bash. Melojewel on the way back in. Static Link already doing a lot of damage, forcing Kiritich back as they just easily go through the walls of the arena with the BKBs active. We're going to have another arena here in 37 more seconds. Whether or not that'll be impactful is not really to be seen, as EXTREMUM will just back away.
The Static Link got reflected. That's why they didn't continue that. Because there was he wasn't getting any damage out of it. So that's why they could do a decent fight there on Nemiga, or at least stave off the Razor's aggression. At this point, Melojewel knows that he's just going to wait for every single arena and just run out of it with BKB. Boom, boom, easy. You know, the timings are more or less similar. Even with the Arcane Blink, it's so difficult to time it so that arena's up when BKB is not, unless EXTREMUM makes a mistake. We even have Basher now on the Jug.
It's about a 15-second window here, as we can see both now the arena ready, and about 10 more seconds now left on that BKB. So yeah, rather difficult to do, and that's going to be mostly thanks to the Spell Prism that they have. So that's a nice pickup here for sure for the Razor.
Yep, that's true. It's going to help them out a lot. More Static Links, more Eye of the Storms as well. Constant positive field usage. You didn't have to go for the shard, it's going to go for Refresher this game. Maybe double Static Link, double Eye, they're both useful. I think it Ags at some points even justified to make use of your good team fights, but at the same time I feel like EXTREMUM, they're quite confident with how the game is going right now. They know the game is only going to get better for them, and it's up to Nemiga to do something crazy to bring back this game.
Are you a little surprised that they're choosing to give Lodin the Minotaur Horn instead of... Oh, hold that thought, we want to get to discuss that. Fight breaking out already. Lodin using that Minotaur Horn now for the freezing field, but it's not doing much here inside the arena, as out comes the Omni Slash onto Icarite. He's trying to solo tank this and will be able to do so. RP now onto the Razor. Kiritich trying to get in a little bit of damage here, but he's going to be hexed up by Chuvash. Now the stun to follow suit. Reflected though, catching Nefrit, as in the meantime Razor is going to be feared away by the Terrorize of Heaven. Nefrit continuing to chase after them though, has the shard active, doing a ton of damage, as now Kiritich looking to try and turn and fight. The Static Link though is going to do too much work, as he is now dead for 2 minutes. Melojewel blinking into that engagement and immediately putting down the Life Stealer.
Killing Blizzy is just so difficult because they're trusting their open wounds to be able to destroy him, but they have a lot of Sorb to dispel it every single time. And it's become impossible for them to kill Blizzy early in the fight. They can no longer burst them. EXTREMUM now sees the opportunity, go, why not? Let's go for the tier 4s. There's no Life Stealer, there's no Willow. They know that for a fact. Crystal Maiden, they're not really sure of, it doesn't really matter. Another arena, unsuccessful. There's too much match community for those arenas to be useful.
That's already one tier 4 tower down. Okay, maybe that's how we get back into this game. Oh no, but Blizzy's too fast here on the Timber Chain. He's got that Stormcrafter to make sure they can't pull him into the fountain. No swimming for him today, only Ancients. As Lodin trying to do whatever he can, doesn't last very long, will be put down as Nemiga are forced to strike the colors. They will fall in game number 1 to EXTREMUM.
Yeah, congratulations to EXTREMUM. A really solid game. Good performance, honestly, coming into the mid-game, acknowledging when they were going to be stronger than Nemiga. I feel like maybe Nemiga could have done more in the window opportunity. They had a wide window opportunity when the Lifestealer could beat the Juggernaut, and they were stopped. No, maybe their initiation wasn't strong enough because, yeah, honestly, Mars Arena felt really weak once the BKBs came out. Maybe dealing with the Razor was just impossible coming to a certain point in the game. It's tough to say exactly what went wrong because their game was so difficult, honestly. They didn't have an easy game to play. I'm excited for game number 2, though. These teams are clearly very even.
Yeah, we shall see, as we are going to head to a short break, and when we come back, Daniel Offen will join us to discuss game number 1 a little bit more.